So hello again, and welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. Like I say, you're welcome to message on the chat throughout the evening, any questions that you might have. This presentation replaces the face-to-face evening that we wanted to do before the pandemic set in, and the aims of indeed both evenings, our intended evening and this evening, will be to go through the application process for Oxbridge holistically, with a key focus on the personal statements, to spend a little bit of time talking about the admissions test, and to finish off talking about interview preparation. And I know talking about interview preparation may seem a little bit presumptuous at this stage, but what I will say is Oxford and Cambridge generally don't give us a lot of time between their offer of an interview and the actual interview date. It's generally around 2, 3 to 4 weeks. So therefore, some students may want a bit longer time to prepare for any potential interviews. So hopefully you'll get that information tonight. And what I will say about interviews at this stage is any preparation you do is certainly not a waste, because some Russell Group universities will interview for their courses. And I'm sure as any adults listening on this presentation will tell you, having good interview skills is no bad thing for life in general. So we begin with an application timeline. I just thought I'd put the timeline on the screen so everybody could see it, and we'll go through it now. So the deadline for the Oxbridge application for UCAS is Thursday the 15th of October. Our internal deadline is Friday the 2nd of October. That leaves us 13 days to check your applications, check your personal statements, check the teacher references, etc., etc. Make sure they all marry up together. And if they do have any problems, we rarely do, but if there are any problems, we can sort them out in those 13 days and submit your application from Wyke College here centrally in good time before that 15th. We then move on to the admission assessment registration phase, where we will register you as a college for your particular exams that you may need to do before you take your interview or at your interview. And I'll say more about those admissions tests shortly. Cambridge require the SAQ. It's an additional piece of information. It's called the Supplementary Additional Questionnaire. The deadline for that is the 22nd of October, and that is quite a tight turnaround, but it is a very short form to fill in, and we here at Wyke will help you with that. We then move through to October and November, where generally you submit the written work or complete the admissions tests that we signed you up for in just after the UCAS deadline. Interviews are held in December. The decision from the respective colleges and universities are usually in January. You make the acceptance or rejections of all your university choices in May, and then you receive your examination results in August. So that's the timeline. I'll pause on the timeline before I go on to the personal statement slide and just invite any questions through the chat. You're welcome to send those through the chat, or if you're feeling really brave because it's a small group, you're also welcome to unmute your microphone and ask any questions about the application timeline. So to move on then to the personal statement phase of the application process. As you say, the deadline's in 2 to 3 weeks, and we offer a variety of support here at Wyke, from your tutor, your subject teachers, your academic mentor, Sandy Clark, who is there to help with a grammar check, and Sarah Beach, who is there to help with your whole application point of view. So you must use those different groups and sets of people to help with your application, to help shape and create your personal statement. And obviously you can use myself as well. I'm more than happy to check any personal statements. There is some excellent guidance on the Oxbridge Teams page that we have here at Wyke College, directly from Oxford and Cambridge, and they will give you help on personal statements. Both Oxford and Cambridge have released quite a lot of materials over the last few months to help students both with their personal statements and in particular critically analyse any supercurricular activities. Cambridge are also running some free Zoom sessions in the next couple of weeks to support students, so very similar to this, but it'll be a academic Cambridge tutor sat in front of you. And the details of how to sign up for those sessions are on the Oxbridge Teams page. And also at Wyke, we're hoping to offer a face-to-face drop-in session next Wednesday, the 23rd of September, 3 p.m. in Wilson 1. And that will just be a very informal, COVID-safe opportunity for you to come into Wilson 1 with your personal statement or with any other particular questions and ask the team there for either some help on the personal statement or whatever questions you come with. And for the students in the room, that 23rd of September, 3 p.m. is the G block. It's the enrichment time that we dedicate here at the college. And I just thought I'd show you, you'll see a blue screen now on your screen, and this is a clip from Cambridge and Oxford University talking through the personal statement support that they are giving. And all these clips were shown at the support session that we did here at Wyke College before the end of year 1 in June and July time. However, more importantly, if students want to revisit them, they're on the Microsoft Oxbridge Teams page, and they look a little something like this.
It will really help to strengthen an application. It will come through in their academic record.
So there you go, you've just got two professors there from Oxford and Cambridge talking through the various stages of the application process, and this one involves the personal statement. Before I move on to admissions test then, again, I'll just have a quick pause to see if anyone's got any questions regarding personal statements and the application process up to the 15th of October. Okay, moving nicely on then to the admissions test. The best way to describe the admissions test, it is not a one size fits all. It depends what degree you wanted to do. It depends what college you want to go to, and that will determine what admissions test you need to do. So I hold a list of all students here at Wyke that have intended, that are intending to apply to Oxford or Cambridge. And we have that list on Microsoft Teams, and you can check and scroll across to what tests you need to be doing. But essentially, we will need to register for that test. And the other key thing about the registration is the practice of that test. And myself, as a law teacher here at the college, I have helped my law students practice for their LNAT, because it's the LNAT, that's the entry test for law. And I'm sure any specialist here at the college within their specialist area will assist you with your chosen tests over the next few weeks. All the information for practice papers and practice tests can be found on the relevant Cambridge or Oxford website. You may not have to complete a test. You may have to submit written work. Again, your degree and your college will tell you. And if it is a submission of written work, the same support network is in place here at Wyke for you to do that. Just get in touch with your subject specialist, and they can help you choose an appropriate piece of written work. So that's all there is to say about the admissions tests. We're about to go on to the interview section, but again, before we do, just a quick pause, inviting any questions that you may have regarding the admissions tests or the written work. Okay then, so we come to the interview section of this presentation, and I think speaking to our 6 students who got offers and got into Oxford and Cambridge this year, last academic year, they would say the interview is probably the most fraught of all the stages, and the one that they're probably the most nervous about. It's the unknown, it's the one that we don't have a lot of experience of. So therefore, certainly speaking to those 6 students yesterday when they came into the college, they were very much of the opinion that preparation for the interview probably started around now, the end of September. They certainly didn't leave their preparation until the end of November for the interview that's in December. So if you wanted a tip from an actual student who's been through the application process successfully, their advice is to start the interview preparation nice and early. As ever, Oxford and Cambridge have given us some information regarding interviews, and these can be found in the Oxford Teams page, just under interviews. It's a short clip with some suggestions on, but my reflections are on this PowerPoint slide, and I'll go through them now. From looking at all the information that's out there, this is what I would be preparing for if I was going through an Oxford or Cambridge interview. The first thing I'd be doing is telling myself off for using the word interview, because it's not an interview, it's an academic tutorial, it's a lesson, it's an opportunity for learning. I want students here at Wyke to approach the interview from that angle. I want you to imagine that you are with your Wyke College teacher doing a one-to-one session, looking at a new topic. So you will see material that you may not initially understand. What will you do? You'll ask questions, you'll have an academic discussion on the topic. And that's what the Oxbridge tutors will do with you. They will have a one-to-one academic discussion on some new material that's related to your degree, because that's their teaching style. It's how they teach Oxford and Cambridge. So they want to see if you are suitable for their preferred style of teaching. Some tips then: you need to be engaging, you need to be interested in your subject, you need to display all the enthusiasm that you would do if you had the opportunity to sit down one-to-one here at Wyke with your subject teacher and talk about a new bit of material, something that you might not fully understand. You need to go through the academic learning journey that you've probably gone through 1,000 times in school and college, but with an Oxford or Cambridge tutor. You must show passion for your subject. Okay, you need to practice showing passion. When I talk about law, that's my love academically. That's what I want to teach. Academic tutors at Oxford and Cambridge are probably some of the best people there are in their field. They have dedicated their lives, academically speaking, to their subject. They absolutely adore their subject and want to teach people who are equally as passionate. So that may need some practice, because we don't always speak passionately, do we, in society? It's not something that's always encouraged. So you will need to practice that. Some other tips: whatever answers you give, that doesn't end the conversation. The interview will be prepared for any answers and will want to take you much, much deeper into the topic. So you must be prepared to speak at length about the topic and in depth about the topic. Speaking to a couple of my law students last year, they said they spent 15 minutes on one issue, one legal issue. The interviewer took them that deep into that legal issue. So the ability to think critically, the ability to defend and explain your point of view, whilst empathizing and recognizing and understanding alternative points of view, is absolutely key. What I will say is, just like in any academic situation that you've experienced so far in your lives, you can make mistakes. It's not a test. You're welcome to make mistakes. And the fourth sentence there is from a current Oxford tutor, and I just think it's a lovely summary of what the interview is supposed to be about. According to this particular Oxford tutor, the interview is designed to test what you don't know, not what you do know. And there's a bit of relief almost in preparation for that. You're not going to have the answers going into the interview. You're going to go on an academic journey with some of the brightest minds there is in the UK in their particular degree and subject field. Okay. You can do some preparation for it though, and possibly the first bit of preparation you can do is know every single word of your personal statement. A little bit dramatic, I know, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. Questions initially or at some point during the interview may be centered on your personal statement. So therefore, the work that you're doing now on your personal statement, all the effort that you're putting into it, after it's submitted on the 15th of October, don't forget about it, don't put it away. You must remember it, revise it, relearn it, look at it in preparation for the interview. So why do Oxford and Cambridge interview? Just a quick summary. To assess if you are suitable for the chosen degree that you're wanting to do. So show some passion and some love for your degree. To give opportunity to the candidates to expand upon their UCAS personal statement. So make sure you know your personal statement. And as we've said, as interviews are similar to supervisions, it helps to determine whether students would flourish. That's Oxford language. The way I would interpret that is whether you are suitable to their academic teaching style. What to expect then in the interview? Generally speaking, it's 1 to 2 interviews lasting around half an hour. It's very likely you'll be given some new text to look at in advance, and that will form at least half the basis of the interview questions. And yes, there will be focused and challenging questions because you are going up a level. A-level is a step up from GCSE, degree is a step up from A-level. So you should expect to be challenged academically in the tutorial with the tutors. Some final tips then about preparation. Refresh your memory about the course which you've applied. Any recent school or college work that you've done, link to your degree, your personal statement, and any admissions tests or submitted written work that you gave to Oxford or Cambridge beforehand. Make sure you do and continue to do some wider reading regarding supercurricular activities that we went through at length in June. And those first 6 bullet points you can all do by yourself, at home, at your desk, with nobody else with you. And it's quite safe and probably quite pleasant because you're researching a subject that you want to do, certainly for the next 3 or 4 years of your life. But the last bullet point is probably the most daunting, and therefore it probably becomes the most important. You will at some point need to practice out loud discussing academic work and ideas, because that's what the interview will expect you to do. You're not going to write anything in the interview, you're going to articulate it verbally. And you as students, and we as a society, have a lot of time to practice our writing skills and our typing skills and our tests. But what we don't have time to practice is articulating academic ideas and work linked to your subject. So there's a few different ways to practice this. In the mirror, if you want to, on your own, discussing an academic topic, with a family member, if you're fortunate enough to have that ability and that opportunity to, with a Wyke college teacher who is a specialist in their subject area. And we at Wyke will hold, pandemic permitting, one formal evening where we will pair you with a subject teacher who will try to replicate the Oxford Cambridge interview style for at least half an hour on that evening. But speaking to the 6 students yesterday who got through and got a place at Oxford or Cambridge, they were very much of the opinion that they needed to, and they did, practice out loud their academic work, their supercurricular ideas, their words that they've written down on paper in their personal statement, and really have a expert university standard academic discussion about their chosen topics within their degree. So if I could leave you on the interview stage with one tip from this evening, if you're serious about getting into Oxford or Cambridge, which I think you are, I hope you are, then that last bullet point, practicing discussing academic work and ideas and theory, is really one of the keys to being successful at the interview stage. So I feel like I've spoken for a few minutes there on interview without really pausing and taking a breath. Therefore, I'll just allow a moment's pause while you ask any questions through the chat, and we'll happily answer those before we wrap up this evening shortly. So we've just got one question that comes through the chat, and the question is, where are the interviews for university being held this year? Very good question. Short answer is not 100% sure. Long answer is traditionally they've always been held at Oxford or Cambridge, you know, in the tutor rooms down south. So you go down for a night and evening, a couple of days, and experience the whole campus effect whilst having your interview. Obviously, certain restrictions are now in place at universities, and at least I know Oxford have released a press statement saying that they are very much of the opinion that unless the situation changes, they will be holding their interviews online in a Zoom sort format. So you'll be probably here at the college or at home logged onto your home Wi-Fi, and they'll be conducting the interview through electronic online means. That's not been confirmed yet by Cambridge, and it's obviously still subject to review over the next few months, but that's something that we might need to prepare for as well here at the college, speaking online in front of a camera, because I can assure you, speaking online in front of a camera is slightly different to speaking to a live audience, as I've found out tonight. I'll just pause, see if there's any more questions that's come through because of that, or just questions that's come through naturally. Okay then, to wrap up the evening, again, I'll just show you the application timeline and really reiterate the support here that hopefully you can take advantage of at Wyke College. Over the next few weeks, the deadline will fast approach on the 2nd of October. Therefore, you are some of our main priority students, which means staff, teachers, tutors, Sarah, Sandy, myself will be able to dedicate a significant portion of our time to help you shape, craft, reshape, redraft your personal statement and complete your application form. So by the 15th of October, you have a really, really strong Oxbridge application, which will hopefully move you on to the next stage. So thank you for listening and for dialing in and being here this evening. I'll hang around on the video in case anyone just wants to speak to me privately about any of the things we've discussed this evening or anything Oxbridge wise. However, if you don't, thank you again for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your evening.